Back in July of last year, a game came out, Warhammer 40,000 Gladius Relics of War. And I want to talk about that game here today and how it's really shaped up in this current age, in 2020. With two DLCs that have come out and two smaller DLCs that have come out since the inception of the game has come a long way since its first release back in July 17th of 2019. And I want to kind of go through some of those things with you guys and talk about how the game has really evolved into a game that I think is really fun to play, is a blast. And we're going to talk about some stuff as far as the high level of the game, some of the improvements that have been made. And at the very end, I'm going to briefly go into, I guess, a bit of a reveal that came straight from Slytherin that they'll be announcing in the coming weeks as far as the upcoming DLC. So if you already play the game and you know you love it or everything like that, and you're just here because of the title, please just jump to the end. I'll put a timestamp down there for you when I talk about it. You can see what new race is coming and so on and so forth. I don't want you to have to watch this whole video just for that little tiny tidbit of information. But the way I'm going to do this video is I'm going to boot the game up. We're going to start at the very front of the screen on the main menu. We'll talk about some things here and there. We'll jump into one or two turns of one of the factions I choose. And again, we're going to go through things on a high level. If you've never played this game before, if you're a fan of strategy, you're a fan of Warhammer 40,000, I think you'll really enjoy this. And with the Steam Lunar sale that's going on right now, I figured this is like the best time, if any. So I do want to give a quick shout out to a gentleman on Reddit who actually approached me. And I'm only doing this video because he approached me and said, hey, you should really take a look at this game again. On Discord, his name is Locknot, so that's what I've called him now from now on. But he is like the master of this game. He has taught me so much about it. And he sent me a message like a week or two ago and said, hey, I know you played this when it first came out, but I think you should give it a shot now. Here's all the improvements. Here's my beginner's guide that I made on Steam. He's super dedicated to it. And honestly, I'm really glad he did approach me on it because the game is a lot of fun. When the game first came out, it suffered from a lot of issues. And not so many technical issues, but it had really low replayability. There were some clunky mechanics. Some things didn't really make a lot of sense. It was kind of hard to navigate the actual map itself. And as a whole, once you kind of played through one little mission or one campaign, you kind of were done with the game. So I'm going to boot the game up. We're going to talk a little bit more about it and what's changed, some of the new graphical things that I think are pretty big and worth talking about, as well as the DLCs that are worth talking about as well. So join me now. It should only be like a 10-15 minute video, but you know how I am when I say stuff like that. It becomes a 2-hour video. But we'll see how this goes. Let's jump on in here to Warhammer 40,000 Gladius. So the big question here is whether or not this game is worth it in 2020. What has happened since the game came out? And I will be honest with you, quite a bit. If you are interested in this game, I will have a link to my Fanatical page where you can buy the game. You'll get it all through Steam and everything like that. I do get a commission off of it, so it's awesome for me, and it's a cool way to support the channel if you decide you want the game after watching this. If you decide, yeah, well, worth giving a little viewing towards. Well, that's how we can get it, minimally invasive way. So one big thing that they've added is a setting here. Let's see if I can find it properly. Called Show Cliff Highlights. One of the big problems is that you were never able to determine what was a cliff and what wasn't a cliff. It was hard to kind of move around the map, and sometimes you'd get frustrated because you'd have a unit go to move and it would move across a whole entire cliffside, and it would be very annoying. That's no longer there because you can now see the cliffs and see where you can and cannot move. Actually, going to turn that volume down just a little bit more. It's quite robust. But I think the biggest thing that people kind of mistake with this game is that they think it's a Civ Warhammer 40,000. It is not that. This is the far future. This is Warhammer 40k. There is only war. It says it on all the books. It says it on the rule book and the game box itself. So with that in mind, there are no technological, no diplomatic win conditions. This is strictly a combat game. This is a war 4X game. And with that here, you've got quite a number of races you can choose from. Astra Militarum, Necrons, Orcs, and Space Marines are all in the base game. Then Tyranids and Chaos Space Marines are the two different DLCs. And I'll be honest, I've been playing through Chaos Space Marines a ton. I really love them. Tyranids, I have a small brain, and it requires more brain power than I'm able to contribute to. They're an advanced race. They're really fun. I just don't really want to learn them because I'm loving the Chaos Space Marines so much. But the Tyranids still are really awesome. So We're going to play with Chaos here. This is a really good little starting thing. Medium to very easy is a good starting difficulty. World size, medium to large. Huge is too big, small and tiny is just way too small. And landmass high is good. Standard game pace, sure. Advanced, I've turned on both my reinforcement pack, which adds some additional units, and my fortification pack, which adds some additional defensive buildings. We're going to go ahead and start this. I'll skip past the little intro here, which is really cool. I recommend you watch it if you do purchase this game. So we can see what we've got with our, with our Chaos. And the way the game starts out, you don't have a city. You want to build a city. And you can see these different tiles. They've got volcanic with orcoid fungi. You've got an ore field right here. You've got volcanic forest. And all these things denote different attributes for each tile. Building slots, for instance, volcanic has a low mass production, food production, but a high ore and a high research production. You also have these special little, I don't want to call them outposts, because they're actually special resources. So for instance, we'll move this here. We've now set up an outpost and we own this resource. And if we, name of this, I can't remember how to check it. I think I can't be on it to check it. Well, let's say we want to go over here and establish a city. And I'm going to do it right here because that allows us, I can do it right there, that's cool. I'm going to be able to expand up here to this little cool ruin of Vol and down here into this special resource. We'll do, or actually I think that is the max expansion point. So what we'll do is, I want that. We'll do that. And if we can get the special resource, we will. So my cultists will come over here. Those are some NPCs. And they'll set up our very Ashes of the Imperium is the name of my city. And cultists are my city building unit. Every single army has a city building and tile clearing unit. So for instance, I don't think I've got any around me. But, oh, here it is, right here. This is wireweed. If I move onto it, I'll take damage. So I want to clear that tile. We'll clear this one. They've cleared it. They can't move or anything, but they've cleared it and we can now move through it without any problem. And this game is, what I like about this game is that it doesn't seem very complex, but it can get complex in a way that is very easy to learn. So like you can start just building out your city here. Like, okay, I want to acquire this tile. Now, I can't build anything if I acquire this tile, but I'll get a lot of research. And that means I can research down these research trees quite quickly. And these research trees add more units to the game, give you demon princes, all sorts of cool different things, like Khorne berserkers, chaos spawns, which are so strong and awesome, the ability to add marks to your units, like Khorne, Nurgle, Tzeentch is right there, or Slaanesh is right there, where's Tzeentch? There's Mark of Tzeentch. So you can really build out your army how you want. You're not just going to always play Khorne berserkers if you don't want to. If you want, you can focus entirely on Infernal Fabricator, which is the ability to make vehicles, and go with, Hell Brutes over here, and where is the other? Mauler Fiends. You can just kind of specialize on strictly doing vehicles, infantry, however you want to do it. And it's really, really fun because I like that kind of approach to a 4X game where it's not just the typical kind of, okay, follow this path. And I haven't really been able to get into a lot of 4X games because of that. It gets just a little too convoluted for me. Again, small brain. But we'll just choose something. It doesn't really matter in this case because I'm just showing some stuff here. This isn't a guide. One thing I will note is this is an NPC, and of course, it's just a random little AI-controlled, non-faction affiliated monster that roams around, and it will attack you. And they're strong. Like, that's one thing I like about this game is the AI is strong. It knows how to kind of really get around you and attack you. And this is a development company of like 3 or 4 people. This is not a big studio. And they've managed to make an AI that's very challenging on a low level. I can't imagine this game above medium right now. I'd get my ass kicked. So we'll show how a combat works there as we gonna end this turn here real quick. These things will move around. They'll take your outposts. They kind of keep you on your toes. It forces you to kind of really play the game dynamically and not just kind of steamrolling the opposition. You get these little quests that'll give you small objectives that are in their own way kind of a tutorial, but a way to kind of give you a direction to go. And one of my favorite things about Chaos is this. Champion of Chaos. Killing an enemy unit may reward this unit with an unlocked boon of chaos, or transform it into a chaos spawn or demon prince. So on my chaos campaign, I did like, I don't know, I was like 5 to 6 turns in, and my cultists exploded into a demon prince, which is a stupid strong unit. And let me see if I can get up here to show you guys some combat. Keep talking through this a little bit longer. If I press Control D, that activates the debug mode, which was something that Locknot was telling me about. So let's do this. Let's add in, I can add in any unit I want right now. Let's put in, I just want to see some boys. We'll add this unit right here. This will give us an ability for me to show you how combat works. So because it's close to my city actually has a bunch of battle cannon and combi bolters on it. So, oh, well, I guess I can't. Oh, I think I have to wait a turn. Oh, no, this is... I see. I added my own unit. Let's add... I want to add an NPC unit here. This is clearly... aha. I just AI. Add a unit. There. Aha! Faction discovered Space Marines! So, I can attack this unit. We'll get in close combat, and I can queue up a bunch of different... See, this is me queuing up all these attack actions. And they'll just kind of go off dynamically. Now, if that guy was, like, actually there, I mean... I think this still has an attack. Yeah, I'll show you how this works. Pretty cool. Like, this just goes to damage. I love that. Same thing here. These guys will shoot down, and if they're closer, they'll do more damage. And you can put things into hold position until heal to heal themselves. So the game itself is, again, it's not hugely complex. This is not a game that you're like, oh man, how do I wrap my brain around it? There are a lot of complexities. Like you do get levels on things as they kind of here. I'll just add another here to get another level. I'll shoot that. 2 out of 3 experience. This should give me a level. Yeah, so they're at level 2. They're called the Children of the Maelstrom. These are the Gore Hounds, and I can rename them if I so wish. But they get a level, they get stronger. So every level above the first increases the unit's hit points and damage by 5%, as well as morale by 10%. And as you kind of explore this world, you'll discover these things. Okay, I've got some Neophyte Hybrids, which is a Gene Stealer cult right here. That was added with the reinforcement pack. I go over here. Oh, okay, there's these Crute Hounds. And I can hover over and see before I even commit. Okay, well, I'm going to do 5 out of 7 casualties. Boom, let's go to it. So you really get like a sense of a game that is, again, got a very low barrier of entry. Very easy to wrap your brain around, but it also is complex. Because like I was saying, yeah, I can build this city. I've just acquired that tile. Okay, well, let's do this one over here. And we'll acquire this. And I know that I'm just going to kind of expand this city as I need it, but maybe my second city, I want to focus entirely on research or entirely on one specific resource that I am not getting a lot of in my starting city's location. Like right now, my food is very scarce because this is all volcanic, and the food production for it is minus 20%. So I'm going to go find like an ardent location that if I click the compendium, there's a very, very in-depth compendium, and I really can't recommend it enough. And at the end of this video, I'm going to link you guys to Locknot's a Steam guide where he kind of goes through each individual thing for beginners to the game. It might take you about 30 minutes to read, but it's definitely worth it to get a good sense for how the game works. But okay, if we go find some brush, we're going to get 10% food production increase on that. Grassland, same thing there. So maybe we want to go there and find some brush grasslands to get an increase for our food production. So there are complexities to this game. And as it kind of ramps up into the mid and late game, fighting is very difficult. It looks really kind of like bland and easy right now. Like, he's just kind of fucking shooting some Crute Hounds. There's nothing crazy about that. Well, these Crute Hounds, these things alone can really like stack up in 2s and 3s and really do a ton of damage to you. So you kind of have to really be mindful of how you deploy your units, what type of units you're deploying, what you're against, and what can fight against it, because you might be fighting against units that fly. And these units are melee units. They can't shoot them. Or actually they do have, they've got auto pistols, but my Chaos Spawn, for instance, are strictly melee units. So if I'm fighting against stuff that has flyers, I can't even hit them. So there are a lot of really small nuances to this game that I think add a lot of flavor to it. And the research tree is very straightforward, but again, it has to be kind of planned out. You can't just go pressing buttons, because by the time you get to the mid game, you're going to be so spread out that you just don't really have a concise way to defeat things, because you're going to be fighting these hordes and hordes of these individual units. And you might have 5 or 6 that are high level, but they've got 10 or 15 that are level 1, and they're just going to take you down by volume of numbers. So this game has got a lot of what do I want to say? I've already said complexity like 55 times, but I'm trying to say, like, you do have to really explore and learn this game. And if starting over isn't as in-depth of a start over like it is for a lot of other 4X games. You know, you drop 17.5 hours and you're just halfway through Civ 5. Like, holy crap. And what I think furthermore makes this game more appealing is you can do a 2v2, you and a friend versus AI, 3v3, you and 2 other friends versus AI, and it makes for a very short form game. You can play from 40 minutes to an hour and a half and get a good complete game in, and you can just do that again and again and again. When this game first came out, I was playing it a lot with Professor Pone and with Turin, and they're very small, quick, and easy games. That's what I think makes it so fun, is when you take a look at a game like Total War Warhammer. A co-op campaign is quite the investment, especially from turn times, individual turn times ending, stuff like that, and the battles. It takes a long time. This game, not as impactful time-wise, and you get all the same kind of 40k shenanigans you get out of, say, Total War Warhammer on the fantasy end of the spectrum. And again, I think that it's got a lot of really fun and diverse units. Like, here, let me give you another one on the team. We'll just add a Chaos Lord, right? Who doesn't want to see a Chaos Lord? And this is a hero unit, and hero units themselves get individual levels. Individual abilities to level up, just like you get with, like, say, Warcraft 3. Some nice old school RTS style mechanics. Or if we go down into, say, let's do, I'm thinking just another cool Chaos Space Marine unit. And I keep seeing the, here, we'll do Havocs. Okay, so these are Havocs. These are heavy weapon squads. You can add Khorne Berserkers into the game, so, and which you've already kind of seen through a technology already, right? So there is a ton of unit diversity in this game, which I think is really cool, but having every unit in your army is not necessarily a good thing. You want them to kind of be focused towards what you're fighting against primarily, and then adapt with your next city as you kind of grow out your campaign. So hopefully you guys got a really good sense for how this game kind of is right now. If I could find a cliff, I could show you guys. Okay, so you see this? This is highlighting that it's a cliff, and I can't just go from here to here. And that is huge. It looks very small, but it's huge. I mean, this is a small development company, 3-4 guys, like I was saying, and they're very connected to the community. They listen, they understand what the people want, and they add it. They've been doing that since the game came out. And very often do we see games kind of get a second wind, as it were, as the development company listens to the community and makes these additions, makes these changes. So if you are interested in a broader strategy game that is not Dawn of War, and it is based in Warhammer 40,000, I think Warhammer 40,000 Gladius Relics of War is an awesome pick for you. With it being on sale with the Steam Lunar Sale, it's pretty low in cost. I think it's like 20, 25, 30 bucks. And even with it not on sale, it's still, I think, only $40. So I think it's an amazing game to pick up. I'm going to have a link to my Fanatical page where you can buy it through there if you so wish. And I think it's like, as long as you haven't played 7 hours of it, you can return it on Steam. I don't remember the policy, but and Slytherin themselves are a really cool company. They've reached out to me multiple times. They've provided me with keys, and I've played the Tyranids, I've played the Space Marines, and the game is, it's come a long way. And the high amount of replayability, because of how diverse the units are, how engrossing the research tree is, how diverse the AI plays against you, makes it a game that you want to play more often, because these are all procedurally generated maps, as you would have expected. You can save the seed and put it on Reddit if you want. And I think that because of that, it makes for a really, really fun, replayable experience. So to close this video out here, I did talk to a gentleman over at Slytherin, my friend at Slytherin, and he was saying that the upcoming DLC race for Warhammer 40,000 Gladius is the Tau. This will be released in the coming months here. They teased it during their stream over the holidays, but they were saying, yes, Tau is the race that is coming. It's one of the races that everyone's been like, it's like the worst kept secret, right? It's like the one that everyone's been speculating a lot about. There's a lot of elements of them already kind of in the game that people were like, oh, it's going to be the Tau. And I guess the other race that people are kind of hinting towards is the Eldar. So with the Tau Eldar, Orcs, Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines, Tyranids, Asher Militarum, and Necrons in this game, you have 7 very diverse different factions that give you a lot of different playability and replayability for this game as a whole. And again, to beat a dead horse here, I think it's come so far since it initially came out. And if you are into Warhammer 40,000 and strategy, I can't encourage this game enough. Hopefully Locknot's a beginner's guide will help you out if you're jumping into it. Again, I will put that Fanatical link in the description and in the comments section. So if you want to jump into it, you're more than welcome to. But guys, thank you so much for watching here today. And hopefully this kind of piqued your interest on a game that's kind of a little bit under the radar. But I think one that definitely deserves a lot of people's attention, especially if you like Warhammer 40,000 in game. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.